Making this video because a lot of people know that I broke from traditional training with horses many years ago because I didn't want to be the kind of person who gets into physical fights with horses over needing them to do something that I wanted them to do. Maybe I thought it was fun for them to do if they got it, but I was really under belief that if a horse doesn't do these sort of things, then their value goes down and they're not going to have as good a life as if they do these sort of things that I'm going to show you. And I think more people are changing too, especially people who don't have horses and haven't been indoctrinated into how horses are trained. Then they have a easier time of seeing what's going on and saying, whoa, there's something off about that. So last February 2022, there's a big uproar because Mark Todd, Sir Mark Todd, an Olympian event rider, did this thing that I'm going to show you in a minute. He was the trainer, and there were a bunch of people that were having a cross-country lesson with him. And because of what I'm about to show you, he actually got a temporary ban on his training license from the British Horse Racing Authority. But the thing that surprised me most was that people are actually speaking out against this, and there's consequences, because when I watch this, I just say, yeah, that's how it's done. And after this, we're going to watch another video and see another person where this is just how it's done. So let's start just by watching this. This is Mark Todd giving a lesson here.
Once more.
So that's him standing in the black there, drinking a cup of something. Oh, my apologies, that wasn't him. He's in the other black with holding a tree branch that it looks like he's just picked up from somewhere. So he's asking the horse to go through again. And when the horse hesitates a little bit, he's jumping out and whacking, and probably not, I don't know if he directly hit the horse there, but he definitely, his intent was to scare the horse so that the horse just goes and jumps or goes into the water. Okay, and it seems to have worked. That's the next time the horse is through, and he doesn't go to the stick, but he steps in like he's going to, and the horse goes. So now let's see what happens this time. Meanwhile, he's taken all the leaves off of the stick.
Hey.
Okay, so basically that's how it's done, and I'm sure that was hard enough to leave welts on that horse's hide, and that's how I was taught to do it too, or send him to somebody else who's going to do that. So the next thing I want to show you is another Olympic gold medalist event rider, Lucinda Green. And when I was growing up in the 70s and 80s, she was like the one every little English rider wanted to be. She was in the Olympics. She won gold medals. She was the one we wanted to be like. So here she is just a few days ago. This is in July 2022. And she's going to be talking here about some of the things that she's done with horses, and I'm going to stop it and explain some things from a different point of view, and you can see what you think about all of it. So first, showing what her life is like. And then I'm going to skip to, she starts talking about her horses growing up. So I want to play that for you.
I was so lucky because my 15th birthday present was a 16-1, huge wither, so he wasn't that big a horse, 7/8 thoroughbred called Befair, who was absolutely anything but fair.
Okay, so she's saying that she gets this big, mostly thoroughbred, and his name was Befair, and he wasn't fair. So she's kind of humanizing the horse and saying that horses can or can't be fair, and this horse was not fair. This horse was not fair to her.
He was 5 when I got him. He was a chestnut, so he was hot and he was a brat.
Okay, so then she says he was a chestnut, and there's this kind of superstition in the horse world that chestnuts, and particularly chestnut mares, are the hot, fiery ones that are difficult to deal with. So here she's kind of painting the picture of him as the problem child. He was a brat. So that's also a technique that people use when they're conquering other people. They dehumanize them by calling them something like a brat or a monkey or a moron or an idiot. So she chooses to say brat. So she's already kind of setting up her stories about these horses or this horse.
And I didn't know what to do with him. Every time he didn't want to go to that corner of the field or go past that sweet paper on the verge, he just reared. I was totally unable to do anything with him.
Okay, so now she's getting more into specific what makes her call him a brat. So he wouldn't want to go somewhere when she was riding, and he would start rearing, and she felt in over her head. She didn't know what to do. And if you're a horse owner and you haven't been blessed with that perfect horse, you've probably experienced this. And what do you do? It's not like in the movies where it's a staged rear. This is out of the blue. You're probably going to lose your seat and fall off. So here we go.
I now know that as soon as a horse starts to rear, you turn him in a very tight circle and it knocks him off balance, and very quickly he stops rearing. I knew nothing.
Okay, so here's how you deal with it from Lucinda Green. You pull the rein, one rein, turn his head, get him off balance, and then he comes back down. And I'm here to tell you it works. It works. Well, one time I pulled a horse, and rather than going to the side, they went backwards and totally crumpled underneath me. So, yikes. That was a tough day. But I'd like people to feel back to what's so important that she needs this horse to do, that she needs to keep getting on him and asking him to do things he's clearly saying no to. What does she need him to do? And obviously the answer, as we see, is she needs him to be an Olympic event horse. So if you want to hear from the best of the best how to make an Olympic dressage horse, this is it. And this is kind of the key distinction that I chose I didn't want to be anymore. And that's where I'm hoping you can start to feel the difference between her way of relating with horses and my way of relating with horses now.
And eventually, after some miserable months when he was stable at the riding school because I was at school and I go at weekends to ride him and he'd rear, and eventually we sent him to a reform school and he went to 2 wonderful people called Major and Mrs. Firth.
Okay, so she was 15, remember, she got him, couldn't figure out what to do. So, of course, you send him to the more experienced trainer. So she's about to say what happens with the more experienced trainers.
And literally, it was a 2-man job. Mrs. Firth rode him. Major Firth followed in a Land Rover with the lunge whip out of the window. And every time the sweet paper was, I can't possibly go past it. Yes, you can.
I think she called him a sweet pig. I'll play that over again because this is, think of what we just watched at the beginning with Mark Todd hitting that horse. This is what I'm imagining it looked like with Befair.
Went to two wonderful people called Major and Mrs. Firth. And literally, it was a two-man job. Mrs. Firth rode him. Major Firth followed in a Land Rover with the lunge whip out of the window. And every time the sweet paper was, I can't possibly go past it. Yes, you can. And they...
So she makes the motion of whipping him and adding the narrative of, yes, you can. But what she's really saying is, if you don't, I'm going to continue to hurt you, and you're going to hurt every time you don't. So whatever words she uses, pay more attention to the actions. The actions where the horse is saying no, and she's whipping and saying, yes, you will, or else I'll whip you more.
I taught him that there was a system, and it was to go forwards.
So again, she's softening it, and this taught him that there was a system. Basically, there's my rules, and my rules are, when I say go, you go. Otherwise, the consequence is you're going to be hurt. And she never says anything about, did she get him checked out by a vet? I'd like to give her the benefit of the doubt. She kind of still is one of my heroes, so I really don't want to mean this has come across as putting her down. I mean, this was so much me growing up. And I want to thank her for making this video, because it really provides a great chance to go into what this separation is. So here she just got done saying that they taught the horse that there's a program and that it's you go forward.
And then the luckiest thing ever happened, the only reason I'm here now chatting to you, is he went hunting in the Pikeshire with Tom Paine. And Tom Paine used to take young horses and was one amazing horseman himself. He'd never sat on Befair. He went out hunting, and the day after we dropped him off, he was in a field with all the others. Hounds took off, and he had a decision to make then. He didn't know if the horse could jump. Shall I follow hounds and jump out over the corner of that field, or shall I turn around and go back through the gate? And the decision he made then has enabled me to be here now.
So I wasn't clear whether she was saying Befair's decision or the rider's decision, but I suspect it was mostly the rider's decision. The hounds are going out, I'm on this horse, I'm going to jump. And of course, Befair, coming from the other trainers who were chasing him with a lunge whip, probably he's going to go. And who knows how strong this guy was, who knows what he was carrying. So she is portraying this as a really good thing, that Befair chose to go and hunt, jump cross country out in the fields. But I'm not convinced that that's actually what happened. Maybe Befair realized that he's going to continue getting beaten if he doesn't do this. So, let's learn the lesson and choose the lesser of two evils. And that's just so much of what horses have a choice of. I didn't say that well, but hopefully you get the understanding.
He went, and Befair never looked back. He hunted him for several, half a season, I think, and I went up and had a day on him and was absolutely amazed what he jumped. But his whole attitude changed.
So again, she's painting this as now he's the horse she wanted him to be. And, who knows what he's shut down, who knows what pains he's hiding, who knows what's really going on in his mind. This just brought to mind this beautiful warm-blood stallion. I filmed him as a 3-year-old when he was just being started under saddle. And he was so magnificent and so bold. And then I was asked to film him again, maybe 5 years later, and he was broken. He was so broken. He was just not right in the mind. So, she has this glowing feeling of Befair, her new partner, but I just don't know. I don't know. I mean, certainly he wouldn't have done these things if he had no saddle or no bridle. But whether he was truly choosing this and loving it, I don't know.
And it is attitude that you're looking to develop. You're looking to develop the love. And that hunting and that one day developed that love.
So again, this is the brainwashing. She's interpreting this as love. Maybe it's fear. Maybe it's learned helplessness. Maybe it's I don't know. It's a horse. Is this horse really loving doing it? And my test was always if they would do it with no saddle, no bridle, sure, great, they love it. I mean, maybe he would have jumped the jumps without a rider on his back telling him to do this. Probably not. That's generally not how horses act. But maybe I haven't met this horse.
From the love came the courage, but always the care, always the doubt, always needing to be backed up.
Okay, and what do you think she means by always needing to be backed up? That's the code for I need to remind you that I'm going to hit you or kick you or spur you or hurt you in some way if you aren't jumping the jumps, which I call courageous and which I think you love.
I've been very lucky because I had a New Forest pony who was incredibly lazy.
Okay, again, dehumanizing him. I know he's not a human, but calling him lazy is the way we start justifying our reasons for making the other an enemy or someone that we know more than or know better than.
13.2, and if the fence was 2'6", he'd probably jumped it, but if it was 2'7", I had to give him extra.
Okay, and again, she's making the whipping body motions, and she's saying I had to give him something extra. So it sounds good, I'm going to give him this extra thing, but really it's punishment. I'm going to punish him until he knows that he'd better jump that 2'7" fence, or I'm going to hurt him even worse.
Had to learn the timing of giving him an encouraging whack.
She had to learn the timing of giving him an encouraging whack. So again, I just didn't want to be that person. And this is what you need to do. You're not going to get a horse to jump the Olympic level cross-country fences through positive reinforcement. I mean, the minute you have a halter on the horse's head, you are no longer purely doing positive reinforcement. And you're still, well, I'll get into that later.
And that probably, along with if I ever caught him in the mouth, he wouldn't jump the next fence. So that, along with having soft fingers, probably were the two greatest lessons, aged 8, 9, and 10, that little pony Jupiter taught me.
So she also mentions that if she takes responsibility. If I caught him in the mud, so basically if she guided him through an area that was muddy, she knew he just wouldn't jump after that. So she gave him a little. She recognized that if he doesn't jump because he went through mud, it was her fault. So thank you.
Stood me in such good stead for the rest of my life because Befair was naturally cautious, and he did learn to trust me, and he did learn to trust himself.
Okay, so that's a big one there. He learned to trust her, and he learned to trust himself. This word trust used in this context just drives me up a wall. He did learn to trust. He learned to trust that she's going to whack him if he doesn't do what she says. How could she know otherwise? She doesn't know if he can make it over the fence. He's saying, I'd rather not, and she's saying, you have to or I will hurt you. Again, that's the crux. That's not the person I wanted to be. Just jumping a fence like that, or even, doing a dressage test, getting the horse in that forced collection, it's still saying that I know what you need to do and I will hurt you if you don't do it. That's it.
But you did need it is okay every now and again. And that timing that I had developed with Jupiter when I was 8, 9, 10 was really what got him, Befair, from Pony Club and from before Pony Club, a total nightmare, through to the Olympic Games.
Okay, so again, it's that hitting him that got him from a pony club horse to the Olympic Games. I don't think I need to say anything more about that. So there's just a little bit at the end here. And if you want to watch this whole thing, it's on the Many Paths to the Heart community site in the equine activist forum. And I'd love to have your comments on there. So 8:40.
That did never happen. But we'd always be looking for little things that were fun to give our horse the feeling that he would go wherever we asked him to go. So he developed that trust in himself and in us.
So she's talking about, again, schooling when she was a young girl over just obstacles found in the neighborhood. And she's framing it as this is developing the trust in her and the trust in themselves. So of course they're not going to know if they can jump a thing until they jump it. But again, it's just so much a human agenda here, and it's not the nature of the horse. We can do it. That's the miracle. Of all the animals, the horse is one that we can really do this the most reliably with. But the deeper question is this who we want to be? Is this who you want to be? And, like I say with Lucinda, this is who she is. And I respect her for that, and I thank her for making this video. And I respectfully say there's a different way that a person can be with horses that doesn't involve whacking them or making them do something that's not clearly in their best interest and enriching in their life as a horse. So I think there's a little more she says, but that might have been the bulk of it.
But all this basic developing of horsemanship and finding out how a horse thinks, and that one will think differently to that one, and learning feel, it's all so important to become a good rider, particularly if you want to be a rider of 3 different areas.
Okay, so basically she's saying put yourself in a lot of different circumstances. I know in another video she says ride in the rain, ride on different surfaces, ride in the heat, get your horse used to all these different footings and temperatures and stimulus. And again, for me it comes down to what end. Where does that end, and when is the enjoyment where I know that the horse is having a choice in what is happening with their body? That's what it's coming down to, because the more I respect their body, the more I'm living in integrity with who I am, which is a horse lover, a human lover, somebody who respects the autonomy of others' bodies. So I hope this was helpful. Please let me know in the Many Paths to the Heart community equine activism forum if you have thoughts about this.